One of the ways Bion talks about this creative flow is through signaling PS double arrow in both directions D, PSD. PS means paranoid-schizoid, representing the Kleinian paranoid-schizoid position. D represents the Kleinian depressive position. Klein was a psychoanalyst educated on the basis of Freud's values, and Bion was educated on the basis of her values. Klein determines two positions. The first she calls the paranoid-schizoid position, and the other she calls the depressive position. In the paranoid-schizoid position, there is a feeling of a primordial attack that is hard to bear, an attack which is dispersed in particles. D, the depressive position, is a position in which there is a certain integration between the particles. The particles are unified, but with it, there's a sensation of a slight fall. It is a depression, but rather than a clinical depression, it represents an existential acceptance. Bion uses Klein's concepts to explain the flow in the consulting room. From his point of view, in the beginning of the session, the therapist is attacked by many particles. The therapist is in a paranoid-schizoid position, threatened by a primordial attack of scattered particles, still not knowing anything about their gestalt or union. If they can bear the fear that this position implies, suddenly D can emerge. Klein called this the depressive position, but in Bion's language it stands for certain union. It represents the emergence of the selected fact that generates a new gestalt that unifies the scattered particles into an insight. It's a moment of illumination. This flow is infinite. If the therapist was correct and really touched on a true selected fact, the consulting room again disperses into particles and starts from scratch. That is to say, the moment we touch the truth, boom, we start from scratch, from the primordial mist. We find ourselves again in an office that has been dispersed into particles and has to be rebuilt. There are artisans who work with sand. Many TV programs show them working on a tray of sand with the form projected on a screen. There's a moment when they work on a form and yet you don't know where it is going. Suddenly, the form is generated and they immediately begin to erase it and return the sand to the zero position. From that, they begin to create the form that follows. This accurately describes the flow in the consulting room between PS and D. This is something that is important to understand in Bion's language. It is not a particular case that tries to clarify or carry forward this psychoanalytic theory, in this case Kleinian concepts. Instead, uses existing psychoanalytic concepts such as PS and D to describe the therapeutic reality as the therapist experiences it. I would like to add an image to illustrate the sudden jump between the PS and D position. Many times when I dictate Bion, I ask the students to bring something to the class that demonstrates Bion's concepts. It can be anything. One of the things I remember most over the years is that a student brought popcorn to class. Popcorn is a wonderful example of the movement that takes place in the office. Imagine corn in its raw form. We don't know when or if it will inflate. We just heat it up, and at a specific, unexpected and unknown moment, it suddenly opens up into a shape. This sudden leap into form accurately represents the transition from the unknown to the known, from the infinite to the finite, from PS to D, and from formlessness to form. This form can never be predicted in advance, and it is never possible to predict the exact moment it will open. But yes, it is possible to practice being the heater, which enables the popping of the grains.